My name is Gabriel, and I have a small consulting firm called the Solo Entrepreneurs. And I work with small businesses from the very beginning, no revenue, almost no revenue, sometimes even a few $100s a week, up to businesses that generate close to $2 million. And when I first started, I was just asking questions, seeing a bunch of issues. I come from manufacturing, so certain situations were very easy for me to determine, oh, I know exactly why you guys are failing. Some other cases were a little bit difficult, so I started developing this tool to assess the health of that small business. And it turned out to be really effective. Suddenly, my time to assess that business got really short, and we got to go right to the solution for that business. So I want to share this method that I created, which is based on 4 areas. So you can copy it, you can take it and kind of see your own business through it. And if there's something failing, you can actually do something about it with more clarity than just getting opinions out of everywhere and fighting through a lot of noise in the world of content when it comes to small businesses. So I hope you can find value in this technique that I apply, that is basically created my own business. And let's start. The first thing that I ask when a business is in trouble, when it comes to low sales or just numbers, is do you have a lead generation system? What do I mean by that? It's basically, how can you create customers out of thin air? Can you show me your process? I live across the street from a law firm, and they have this floor full of people calling on the phone every day. That's all they do, gathering leads from accidents, cases. And I met the owner, and he told me a few things. Some other, he didn't want to disclose everything that he did, but he had a strong lead generation system. Lead is basically somebody that you can contact, right? And that person has shown even a tiny interest in what you do or the kind of business that you have. And that's the first thing I try to ask business owners. Do you have an actual system for creating leads? Not sales, just leads. People that you can contact, offer what you do, and get customers out of that. Basically a conversion. Let's say if you have 10 leads, how many will become your customers? For example, in my own company, I use 3 lead generation systems. The first one, it's warm reach. What does that mean? I have automated email campaigns. I use MailChimp for that. It's really effective. And whenever I do content, I create free content which has to have some value. But the only thing I'm asking for is your email and your name, nothing else. I won't give you spam. I won't send you crap. I will send you actual value in the content that I make in those emails, and they're automated, right? They can be 3 emails, 4 emails, and at the very last, I will say, listen, if you find value in what I do, and you want me to apply this to your own company, please contact me here. Or sometimes I offer the systems that I created, and you will see my systems later. And I'm very upfront. This is the value I give, this is what it costs, and I think you can benefit from it. So it's really effective, but you need to have people watching your content or a place to gather those emails. And it's called warm reach because basically people give you their name and emails willingly. You don't have to kind of scrape for it. They're gonna do it for you, right? So that's why it's called warm reach. And you systemize that using MailChimp. At least that's the system that I use. I'm very comfortable with it. I can automate my campaigns. I can put tags to the different type of contacts, where they come from, their interest. I can really fine-tune that tool to send content to those leads that actually it's what they're looking for, not just generic business advice. So that works really well. The second system that I use is cold reach. Cold reach in terms of email again. That's one of the most difficult ones for small businesses to apply because it's very complex, it's very technical. The structure is kind of the same as the warm reach campaign. Basically, you send a bunch of emails, automate them. You send them each week or every 3 days. You don't have to do it manually, so you can actually grow your company. And the same thing, by the third email or fourth or whatever you want, you can say, listen, you can contact me here and you can benefit from what I do. This is my price, and you can be really direct on it. But the difference is that you contact people that you don't know. And the way to get those leads is basically from databases. I use Instantly, I use Apollo, and they are paid databases, and you have to, of course, pay for each lead of certain amounts of leads. Now, because it's not free, that's why most people, even small businesses, don't even know about it. It's usually used by bigger, mid-sized to big companies that can actually have really technical people to put the systems, because there's a lot of technical issues. You don't want your emails to go to spam. There's ways to avoid that. There's software that can detect certain words in those emails that are very prone to go to spam, and you remove those words. And then you have to buy a bunch of domains and email accounts, and the setting up is kind of difficult. By the way, cold outreach in terms of lead generation works by volume. If you're gonna send 10 emails, you might as well use warm reach. But for cold reach, it's really effective when you're sending thousands of emails, thousands of texts. I get texts for a bunch of people that I don't know, and I know exactly the systems that they are using. I can see it, okay, this is automated this way. If I opened it, I'm gonna get another one. If I don't open it, maybe I will be out of that list. And again, it requires a lot of setting up, and it might be a little costly, but it can be effective according to the quantity and the conversion. Let's say you send 1,000 emails, right? And you have a conversion of 1%. Now, that 1%, it's basically 10 people that might be willing to buy what you offer, right? Just 1%. But let's say that database costs you $5,000, but what you offer is $2,000, right? And 10 customers, basically $20,000. You have a really good return on investment. So it'll depend on your budget, the price of what you offer. Let's say you offer something that is very cheap. I would not recommend cold outreach or this setting up, because again, it's complicated. There's also scraping tools for that. What do I mean by that? There's automated tools that you can literally set up in websites, and they will scrap names, emails, phone numbers from different websites, and it'll basically imitate the human interaction with a website. Instead of clicking 100 times and copy all of that, name, email, phone number, it'll do it automatically for you, and you can set it up to work at night and whenever you're not using the computer, or you have a separate computer for that. Again, it can be done. A lot of people use this system, but it's highly technical, so it requires code. I use it, so I'm telling you from experience that it has taken me a lot of time to set those systems. But if you have a good product, you're not scamming people, by the way, and you offer something that you know that's going to give you some return on investment from those tools, it's absolutely the tool that you can use and learn how to use it. And in my case, the third lead generation system that my tiny, small, humble company have is referrals. Now, if you leave the referral part to your customer, let me say that again. If you leave the referral part to your satisfied customer, even if he's satisfied and he or she says, you know what, thank you so much, Gabriel, this really helped my company, we're saving a bunch of time and money, which I usually get, and it's great. The soon they leave my office, they forget about it. And not because they're bad people, it's just they forget. So you need to be the same deal. You automate emails. Can I get your testimony for my website? Can you send this email? You can pre-write this email asking for referral, and you can say, can you send this email to somebody that you know might help their business the way I help you? So always don't leave it to chance. Automate the process so you can scale, right? Now, having said this, Most small businesses that I've worked with, and I've worked with a bunch of businesses, they do this. Basically, the owner is really good at something. They turn it into a business, then they try to sell it to the circle that they have close by. That circle dries up, and then they do social media. Then they realize that social media dries up too. Why? Imagine yourself scrolling through websites or TikTok or Instagram. You just do it in a fraction of a second. It has to be something really interesting for you to stop and maybe read it, even read it. You don't want to leave your financial future to that fraction of a second scrolling. You cannot depend on that. And if you think about it, the people that spend the most time watching their social media are themselves. I bet you that if you have a social media, you look at your post, you're super proud, but other people will do this, scroll really fast. So you cannot leave your lead generation system to that action. So in that case, that's why I go to small businesses and I find, can we systemize this lead generation system? Do you know a circle of people? Is there an institution close by? Is there a chamber of commerce that you can go and get emails in a very effective way? When it comes to get leads, you need to give something of value first. So people will say, thank you so much. This is actually great. I don't know why you're giving it to me for free. And you can say, listen, I'm trying to grow my business. If you ever need help, contact me. That person will understand that you're giving value and that you will behave in the same way with their own businesses. So to finish this part, if you cannot tell me how you get leads in a very systematic way, like step 1, I do this. Step 2, go to this place. Step 3, I collect the emails. Step 3, I send a chain of emails. If you don't have that, you need to create it. And there's a bunch of lead generation systems out there. I just told you 3. Okay, the second part of my system that I use whenever I go to create a diagnosis of a small business so I can help them with my own systems, it's what I call product and operations. I come from manufacturing, so for me it's product, the way they're making it, are they effective, are they efficient, their processes are really long and they have delays and they keep customers waiting. What happens after that? Some people call it client fulfillment, especially in the service industry. I've worked for landscaping companies, accounting firms, and sometimes they suffer from the same things. Their processes are way too slow. They have complaining customers. They do not offer a physical product, so there's no cost associated with production, but they have a lot of labor. Labor might be slow. So I go there and check the processes. Basically, what I'm saying is that you need to convert yourself, transform yourself into an industrial engineer. You need to sit down, look at the process, create a map of the process, find out the bottlenecks, work on that process, and solve it. So the production of that thing is really effective, efficient, and you have finally at the very end a very happy customer. And if the customer for some reason comes back to you with some complaint or question, you also have to have a system to address all of those things. The sale doesn't end with the money being transferred. You don't forget about your customer. And in my case, my company, we set up those systems as well. I'm gonna give you an example. I was working for a manufacturing company here in Nashville, Tennessee, and they were making guitars, electric guitars. And they had a bunch of complaining customers because they were always taking way too long with their orders. They would say 7 months for a highly customizable product, which is very difficult to make. But instead of taking 7 months, as they promised, it might take a year. And it's not just one company. All guitar manufacturers and manufacturers suffer from this. They had a bunch of emails every week. Where's my order? Where's my guitar? I want my money back. I don't know anything from you guys from months. So I said, okay, we're gonna do something. We're gonna create a visual map of each order that you have. We're gonna put check boxes in each place of the process, And so you can have a visual map. And first of all, that totally helped us to see the behaviors within the company. They were addressing any kind of order, no specific order in terms of a timeline. They perfected that, but we also created an app to share that timeline. Pretty much like UPS and FedEx when you buy something from eBay or Amazon and you can track the progress. We created this for these companies. Guess what happened? All of those emails disappeared. It was a miracle. It felt like a miracle. Okay, people, they took a few weeks for them to get used. Do I need to use a code? Yes, you need to use a code. You put your code and basically you can follow it. And little by little, all of those emails went away. So instead of for the owner spending time of answering emails, asking the people on the floor what's happening with this order, we automated that, and they have only happy customers right now. And because they were able to visually see their operation in one computer screen, they identify patterns on, okay, we always spend too much time on this. This is our bottleneck. We don't have it anymore, and they are working really well. So that's an example of what I do when I go to see a small business that is struggling with the product, the making of the product, complaining customers, after sales, what happens with that? Do you have a system for automated emails in case somebody come back to you and say, you know what, I'm not happy with this, can I change it, So if you can automate all of those little things, and if you can actually make your own timeline of the things that your company goes through every time you receive an order until you kind of give that product or service to your customer, you can identify your bottlenecks, your issues, and that's the second method I use. I have a bunch of other cases with that in the next modules to come, which is going to cover this in great detail, including inventory, ways to getting the orders, automating processes, so stay tuned for that. The third part of this assessment tool that I created for myself when I was working with small businesses was numbers. Funny enough, I got to work with businesses that were making from $900,000 and $2 million. Few of them were using QuickBooks. And QuickBooks is that software in which you can register all of your transactions, your costs, you can classify your costs. So basically, if you really handle it, you don't even need an accountant anymore. Unless your company is bigger, of course, you're always going to need it. A bookkeeper in the past would write down every little cost, would take every receipt from you and put it down in that journal. With QuickBooks, you don't even need to do that anymore. If you just spend one day a week, even one day a month, you can actually have really clean books. But I was working for companies that didn't even have this. So first thing I was, okay, we're gonna install QuickBooks, we're gonna link your credit card or your debit card to it so we can register every transaction to it. And when I say numbers for this module or for this specific point in assessment, it was a really not pleasant surprise to know that most business owners don't know how to create a profit and loss report. And that was really shocking. A profit and loss report is basically put all of your costs through the year. It can be any period of time. It can be a month, the month of November, can be 2024, 25, whatever. And you go, these are my costs, this is my revenue, this is my labor, and you put everything in place and you create a profit and loss report. And you can get a bunch of information from that. It's not just putting the numbers and give it to the accountant so they can pay taxes. You can actually get information out of your numbers. To give you an example, when I got to work for companies that were in the service areas, like landscaping, I worked for a couple of accounting firms, HVAC, air conditioning installation and all of that. They did not know if their workers were being productive. And how can you find that out? With a pretty simple ratio. It's called LER, labor efficiency ratio. And what it does, it will tell you out of your profit and loss report if your workers are, or the total amount of money that you spend on labor is giving you something back. Very simple to understand. And the way this ratio works is basically this. If I give you $1, if you're my worker, I would expect from you to generate, I don't know, maybe $1.5 or $2. So you amplify the value of my company, right? Basically, your work has to generate more money than the money I'm paying you. Let's say your labor efficiency ratio is 1.5. That means that for every dollar that you spend on your workers, they are giving you an extra 50 cents back. If you have a labor efficiency ratio of 2, it means that you're getting $2 out of that worker. That's pretty good. And it depends on the industry, it depends on what kind of business do you have. Ratios are a good way to measure that. There's no simple number that I can tell you it's a good sign. I've seen really high ratios and really low ratios, but the volume of sales is so big that maybe that tiny amount is enough to sustain the business. My point with this is that you need to learn how to read your numbers to give you something back so you act from it, right? Another case that was really shocking for me, especially in manufacturing and other industries, is that business owners sometimes don't even know how much their products actually cost. They have an idea. Most business owners, they do have an idea. They're not dumb. Most business owners are really smart in their own field, but they haven't calculated their actual cost per unit. You know, let's say you're making plastic figures or whatever, right? And you're picking up parts from China and you assemble in the US, and then you go, okay, I need to calculate my cost. You see the cost of every part, and then you set the price, and I'm spending this amount or this many hours working. Okay, I got a price. Most small businesses undercalculate this. Give you an example. The shipping that you getting from all of these parts, the parts come from different places. Maybe you have different shippings. Maybe that shipping is not done by the same company, so they are more expensive for certain parts and less expensive for others. Have you calculated your cost with that level of precision? Have you calculated the exact numbers of hours and minutes that it takes for something to be done, so you can actually say, okay, in labor, actually I'm spending this. Have you calculated your overhead, the Wi-Fi that you pay, the rent that you pay for the building? Maybe you own it, and there's a bunch of things. And again, most business owners do have a really good idea, but whenever my company went to all of these businesses, we found out that they were under calculating. So if you really know your numbers, or you really want to assess the health of your business, you really need to calculate everything, learn how to do profit and loss reports, learn how to interpret those numbers to your favor. If you don't have QuickBooks, if you don't do this every quarter of the year, because costs change during the year, right? If you don't know how to do it, if you haven't done it, or if you have done it in a very on the surface level, I'm telling you, maybe you are eating your profits and you don't know it. So this is crucial for you. In this case, whenever we go to a company, the first thing that we do is create a huge database of their costs. If it is manufacturing, we're gonna put all of the materials for the different products. We'll set up tables with shipping and taxes, and we will create automated calculators to do that. We will do the same for the entire operation of the year, you know, for the overhead, the labor, the different type of salaries that they are paying, the owner's compensation. Sometimes we met owners that are not paying themselves. We get that part. At first, we cannot pay ourselves. It's very common. But then you need to address that thing, because what you're charging maybe is not a good representation of your actual cost if you start paying yourself a salary and you're working on a broken business model. So never, when we go to a business, we set up all of these financial systems, and after a few weeks we can sit down with the business owner and tell them the reality of their business based on numbers. And finally, the fourth point that I always try to get my hands on whenever I'm evaluating a small business is marketing. Now, why am I mentioning it at the end? Because usually people think, I will do a product, I will say something about it, and I will sell it. And they forget about the lead generation system. They think marketing is equal to lead generation system, and that's not the case. You have to have a lead generation system regardless of your marketing. Marketing is what you're gonna say about your product. It's what you say about your product and how you say it. And let me explain that. Most business owners that I know, most small businesses that I've worked with, and again, business that go from nothing to a couple of $1 million, they will make their product or their services. They will have some degree of social media and a website. Sometimes websites have a lot of text, forgetting that people just scan through things nowadays. They don't actually read, and they will show their products. And there's one difference: showing versus inviting to buy. Most small businesses, they will show what to do. They will undersell. Even when they say buy it here, sometimes they will undersell. What does that mean? That they will do something and say, wow, this is great, look what we did, we're so cool as a company, this is our team, and they will make funny TikTok videos or Instagram posts or YouTube. But when it comes to say to the customer, listen, this is what we do, we sell this thing, and this is how you can buy it, and show a very clear step-by-step how to buy this thing. You go to this website, it'll tell you how many products do we have. We have it in red, blue, you can choose from that. Click here to buy it, and you will get it in 2 weeks. A lot of small businesses are not that clear, and they think, oh, once I get the customer, I will tell them about how the system works because I know it very well. And guess what? People like clarity, people like transparency. So if in your social media or website the process of buying the thing is not clear, people will go away because it doesn't look safe for them, right? You have to be very clear, and that's basically what you need to show. Invite people to buy your thing. Be clear, not just show what you do and expect people to figure out how to buy it. It doesn't work like that. The other thing that we assess in small businesses in terms of marketing is their message. A bunch of small businesses will talk about them a lot. Like, we have been in business since 1925 and we do this and we're the greatest and we have the best team or whatever. And they put the customer second. And the reality is that whenever I buy something, whenever you buy something, it's because you saw a reflection of yourself and your problems in that website, post, whatever you saw on TV or social media. Wow, I have this problem. My back sometimes kills me. I don't know why. I have a really bad back, and right now it hurts a little bit. Whenever I see people doing exercise with that to avoid back problems, I go, I'm gonna save this thing, this Instagram account, and I follow it, things like that, because I see my problems being reflected at me with their own companies. If you don't have the audacity of show your customer problems and you just talk about yourself, they are never gonna connect with you. And you need to understand that part. They are first. You are serving them, so you need to put them first, their problems and the solution that you can offer. And that's a very simple structure that you can create. There's an absolutely amazing book called The Story Brand by Donald Miller, which is kind of the template that I follow. But he was super right in when he explained his book. He says, I do the format of storytelling, which actually I knew from before. There was a really famous producer called Dan Harmon, and he made this sitcom called Community. And he explained the circle of the hero, basically the steps a hero goes through in every kind of script. There's a hero, that is the protagonist of the story, he has a problem, he's looking for transformation, and he goes through several stages. He's trying to find solutions. He meets a guide. That guide is actually you, by the way, and the guide gives a few steps to the apprentice, the protagonist, the hero of the story, on how to solve that issue. He goes through hell, he solves the problem, and the story ends up in success. Basically, what it shows is transformation from you being with an issue, with a problem, something that you're not comfortable with, and you're looking for a solution. You need somebody to help you navigate through all of that, and at the other end of the spectrum, you end up being successful and happy because basically you solved that issue. That's a very effective way of communicating what you do. Your client is the protagonist. You are simply the guide. I'm gonna give you a few steps that you can follow to solve that issue, right? And at the end, you will end up from here in pain to here super happy and with all of your issues resolved. Now, transformation is the key word here. If you basically can show them the outcome first, if you buy my thing, you will end up here better than when you are right now. You will be more successful in showing your message and your product. And whenever I see that structure in small businesses, I said, wow, that's so clear that I can understand it. And now that you know the structure, find it in movies, find it in commercials, infomercials, and social media. And if you see it, learn it and apply it because it's super effective. And by the way, this way of presenting something has been around for a couple of thousand years, with a story, transformation. So you're not stealing it from anybody. It's a universal language that we all relate to, and you can apply it. Now that you know the structure of your message related to how to show it to your potential customer, that's the structure that you're going to apply to your lead generation systems that we talked at the very beginning, right? You will show them transformation. If you want to be in this place, which is better than the place that you are right now because you have certain pain, I can teach you how to do that. My product will help you navigate through that, and you will be in a better place. And you have to be clear in all of the process. The less clear that you are prone to lose potential customers. So basically, with my company, the Solo Entrepreneurs gets to work with small businesses, I go through all of these points, and we applied very specific systems for that. Either it's a spreadsheet, automations for lead generation, or automations for the financial part. We need to know first what it is. I understand that there's more complex issues like funding, and maybe you get a loan and one partner is going away and you need to kind of create a new financial structure and amortization calendars and all of that. We do that too, but for most small businesses, it's my experience that they will be in between those categories of issues. Either you don't have strong lead generation systems and you depend on social media and a few referrals and that's it, and you're fighting to get customers. Maybe your operations kind of sloppy and you're always doing so many things that you don't know where to begin to fix them. Maybe you don't know your numbers the way that you should know them. You don't have the tools or the time, or your marketing is really ineffective and you're talking way too much about yourself, not showing the transformation, not showing a clear process on how to get to a better place for your customer. So I hope you enjoy it, apply it. And again, this is what I do with my company. And if you need help with your own company, please send us an email, book an appointment with us. It's totally free. And we will do the best to take you from struggling business to a successful business. See what I did there? Transformation. Take care. Bye-bye.